Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome to our next installment in our global tour in the 787 Dreamliner by Quality Wings. Now obviously we're still flying this in FSX. I do not know if and or when they're supposed to be releasing the P3D version. I'm definitely looking forward to it, but I haven't looked in the forums or anything like that, so I have no idea. If you guys know, please throw it down in the comments. Let me know what you know about it so that I know about it, right? So I'm going to have to repurchase it when it comes out for P3D. It is what it is. I'm not going to make too much of a complaint about it. I still enjoy flying it in FSX, but somebody made a comment in one of my recent videos. They basically said, it looks like FSX is just about kaput. You can definitely see the difference between this and P3D version 4, and I agree with that. But we're still going to fly this. We've got our PMDG MD11 in here and so on and so forth. So we'll probably be flying FSX for several years to come, but more and more into P3D version 4. But anyway, I got smart this time. I turned some of the volumes down, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me a little bit better. I don't have to yell into the microphone, which causes the peaking that some of you complain about. Not really complain, but just point out, right? So hopefully that doesn't happen in this case. And other than that, as far as the introduction to this video goes, keeping with what I did in, which video was it? I think it was the MD11 video maybe. I don't remember, to be honest with you. But anyway, I'm kind of starting a new trend here. The aircraft is already powered up. You can see ground powers on the aircraft, and I have gone through, and I've got them popping up here right now, but I've gone through all of the initial pre-flight procedures and checklists. I've got all of this stuff done with the exception of starting the APU, and including, in this case, including the programming of the FMC. Why did I do that? Because there's a full flight tutorial on the Quality Wings 787. Okay, when I say there's a tutorial on it, what I mean is I did a full flight tutorial on this aircraft. So for the moment, for the time being, unless I get an overwhelming response otherwise, if I've done a full flight tutorial on an aircraft, I am not going to go from cold and dark anymore, because it's just the videos, all my videos are averaging like 2 hours or more. It's not that I really mind, but overall what I really want to do, and what you guys typically want to do, is get in the aircraft and get to flying, and a more realistic way of receiving the aircraft is with power already on it. Now, with that being said, in this case I went the extra step. I did the FMC programming and everything like that, so we're almost ready for push and start, whereas in the last one I did everything but the FMC programming. So I want to find the happy medium there, so give me your feedback, guys. Somebody has already said in that other video, they said, hey, you know, come into the video ready to push and start. And then somebody else said, no, I think it was great where you started it at, and so on. So it's going to be one or the other. We're either going to start the flights where we hop into the aircraft, we program the FMC, and then away we go, or we're going to start the flights where we're at right now, where basically we hop in, turn on the APU, disconnect ground power, push and start, because that's what we're going to be doing on this one. So I hope that's making sense to everybody. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. A lot of you like to see the programming of the FMC, but keep in mind, and I'll try to remember to pop a little thing up down here. I'm really terrible about remembering to do that. But there is a full flight tutorial on this aircraft on my channel. So if that whole cold and dark procedure, if you're like, well, I have no idea how to do that, well, just go over to my channel and pull up the full flight tutorial for the PMDG for the Quality Wings 787, and you'll be good to go, and you'll have all that. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to everybody. All right, enough talky talk. We've been out here way too long. Let's hop onto the flight deck here, and what I want to do right now, you can see again, I've got everything ready to go. I mean, I've done everything, FMC, the whole 9 yards. The only thing we need to do right now is we need to fire up the APU. So we're gonna right click once, click it again to the start position, and then we'll hop down here, and on this page here, if you click on stats or status, you can see the APU spinning up right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pause the video for a minute, let that spin up. We're going to come back. She's going to be raring to go, and then we're going to start with our before push procedure. Alright, as you can see, the APU is up and running now, so we're going to go on that. Didn't take very long. I just didn't see the point in kind of dragging it out on there. So let's hop up to the overhead now, and let's see where we at here. APU gens are already on. Even though it's still showing that we're on external power, we can go ahead and turn that off now. So click on that, and then I got my Quality Wings control panel over here. We can disconnect external power. That's taken care of. We can turn that off with this button right here, and that leaves us ready for our before push procedure. So first thing first, we want to make sure that our seatbelts are on. Seatbelt sign needs to be on. That's taken care of. Seatbelt sign is where you at? Right there. Our seatbelts are obviously on. We can cabin chime if we want, whatever. Hydraulic pumps go on auto. So let's hop up top here. So hydraulic pumps, let's see, those are on, and let's see, hydraulic pumps on auto. And then, okay, here we go. Right demand pump selector auto. Nope, that was the left demand. Right demand pump selector auto, then it goes left demand pump selector auto, and then it should go C1 and C2. Yes, it does. C1, C2. There we go. And then we need to check the fuel here. Check the fuel on board as displayed on the forward ICAS display. That's down here, obviously. So fuel on board, where are we at? Should show it right here. Here we go. Total fuel, excuse me, 30.8, which is actually more than PFPX called for. This fuel was based off of the Quality Wings pre-flight manager, or whatever it's called. That's where I got this fuel from. So I'm going to trust that more than I'm going to trust what PFPX has to say to me about it, obviously. So we're good on the fuel. Fuel pumps all need to come on now, if they weren't already, and of course they're not in our case. So fuel pumps are on. Excuse me. Stab rudder trim needs to be set. So I'm more concerned, I don't mess with the rudder trim at all, so I want to make sure that the stab trim is set, and it needs to be 4.5. So remember, it goes really slow when you do this, but if you hold it, if you hold whatever button you have mapped to it, sooner or later it'll get there, because it's using the electronics instead of the hydraulics right now. I believe that to be correct. I'm actually not 100% certain about that, but that would make sense to me. If somebody knows for sure whether that's just because it's using electronics instead of hydraulics, let me know down in the comments. Once all doors are closed, you want to check the doors page. So we're on this guy here. Check the doors page. All doors are closed. The lav is vacant. That's the way we want it to be. Beacon needs to come on at this point. That's up top here. Kind of bounce around a little bit at this point, don't we? Transponder needs to go to transponder mode. And that's way back here. There we go. And there's transponder right there. What's next? And then it says perform the before start checklist. So remember now, for the checklist, we can actually do those right on here. And so I haven't done any of them yet, right? So the pre-flight checklist, this is all the stuff I did before I hopped on here. So that's all done.
Ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck, this is your captain.
I keep forgetting that as soon as you finish that one, he starts talking.
We're just finishing up our last minute paperwork, and once we've done that, we'll push back. We're estimating an on-time departure. In the cabin today are some of our finest flight attendants who are there for your comfort, but most of all for your safety, so we ask that you give them undivided attention whenever requested. Once again, thanks for flying with us. Sit back and relax, and I'll update you on our progress once we're airborne.
Excellent. And then one of these, I forget which one, as soon as I click it, same thing, but instead he's going to go into the departure briefing, right?
All right, it'll be a left seat takeoff.
There you go.
Taxi route is per ATC instructions. Standard reject procedures. Will depart via the SID, climb to initial altitude. In the event of an emergency return, we'll coordinate with ATC. You'll fly the airplane out on the checklist and coordinate with the air traffic control company and the flight attendants. Any questions?
No questions, but we're not departing via SID because our flight plan didn't call for it. We're just doing a direct departure. Now, next one on the checklist is MCP. So V2 is at 143, so we want to make sure 143 is set up here. And then for heading, it should be at 349. Scroll that down real quick. We're going to be taking runway 35. And then what else? And then altitude, no altitude restrictions, so straight up to 41,000. So that takes care of that one. Takeoff V speeds 130 for V1, rotate is 131, and V2 is 143. CDU pre-flight is complete. Trim is set. We're at 4.5 units, and then taxi and takeoff briefing sort of completed. They did their version of it. We're going to have a taxi brief once we start taxiing out like we normally do. So that takes care of that. And so the next checklist is the before taxi checklist, which we won't be doing until we've actually started the aircraft. So that takes us to our engine start procedure, and we need to push back, of course, to do that. Now, looking right here, I know that we're right in here. We need to go point the nose to the right and the tail to the left. Now, I don't recall if there's a pushback feature on this or not. Let's see real quick. No, it wouldn't be there. It would probably be under... Nope, that's not what I'm looking for either. Now I'm losing my mind here. CDU is what I'm looking for. Initial reference, index, and then is there a pushback? Flight plans, takeoff. Next page. No, there's no pushback feature on this one. I couldn't remember for sure. So, no pushback feature, which means we're going to do it on our own. So we want the nose to go to the right, tail to go to the left. So we're going to hit Shift P. Let's take the parking brake off here. Bam. Let's make sure our A-car is started. Bring that over there. Just, it's up and running. You can see A-cars is ticking away the time now, so we're good on that. And now we can go ahead and start pushing. So Shift P is what we're going to use, and then I'm going to hit the number 2. That pops us back down here, which is fine. That's where I want to be just for the moment. And that should turn the nose to the right. And then the normal starting sequence is both engines simultaneously. We want the secondary engine to, indications on the ICUS, which we've already got right here. Okay. Position the left start ignition selector to start. So if we hop up top here, and my brain just went blank. Okay, there's the left one to start.
Okay, starting engines.
Okay. Let's hopefully pushing the number 1 won't change things up any there. And so what we're doing is we're waiting basically 5 seconds in between, and then we can go ahead and click that one there. And then once we've done that, we can just introduce fuel. We don't need to actually wait to introduce the fuel like you do, like say on the 737. So I just wait 5 seconds to introduce fuel, and then you can see on here, and I'll pop it up for you. It shows that it's auto starting, and then once it's actually running, it'll show running on there for 30 seconds, it says. So we'll see. I do like that you can start both engines at once, much quicker. See, it says running. So it'll say that for 30 seconds. So we're just going to wait till this one says running. There we go. Pop this bad boy back down here. And that pushback wasn't too bad. Those signs should not be there. Alright, let's just wait till she finishes pushing back here. That looks good right there. Shift P. That'll wrap that up. We'll go ahead and put the parking brake on. And let's take care of this after start flow. APU needs to come off at this point. Take care of that. APU comes off. Engine anti-ice is required. We don't need it right now. We do need to check the recall, however. We can use this one over here. Hit the recall. So they cancel those off. Let's bring them back on. FMC intercept heading. It doesn't like that apparently, and then TCAS is off. So if we look down here real quick, we can investigate that. We can say, okay, legs page. Let's see. To OOD is no, that's 250 knots. So it's 202 degrees. So I'm guessing that's why it's saying that, because when we take off, we're not going to be pointed at that. And what that means is, wrong button there, sorry about that, is that our LNAV, even though it's armed, probably won't work properly. So that's just something to keep in mind. Flight controls, we do need to do the flight controls check. We can do that right here. And click on flight controls, we can go full left, full right, neutral, full up. Boy, that doesn't look like full up, does it? Full up. Maybe that's because of the trim. Full down, because it goes all the way down. Neutral. I'm a little curious about the full up, but anyway, rudder all the way to the left, all the way to the right, and neutral. I'm assuming that it's not going full up because of the amount of trim we have on it. I could be incorrect about that. If somebody knows, once again, let me know. Radio panel's good, and flight deck door is closed and locked, and that's going to take us into, should take us right into our before taxi procedure, right? Or I'm sorry, our before taxi checklist. So that was the procedure there, and then at the end of the procedure, I'm just looking at my little cheat sheet over here. But we should be able to go to before taxi checklist. Anti-ice is good. Recall has been checked. Auto brake is already on RTO. Flight controls are checked. Ground equipment is clear. That takes care of that checklist. And then flaps are actually before takeoff checklist, which is kind of interesting when you think about it. One last thing we want to do before we actually taxi out of here is we want to turn the taxi light on. Strobe light will stay off for now. We don't need the logo lights because it's light out. And that takes us to, let me just make sure I didn't miss anything here, because we all know I might miss something sometimes. It does say to set the flaps on the before taxi procedure. Even though it's part of the before takeoff checklist, we set the flaps here. So our flap setting should be 5, I believe. But let's just hop down here and double check. So we can go initial reference. Yep, flaps 5, right? So if we look right here, there's 1, there's 5. And I have to use a button for that. So that takes care of the flaps, and that'll also take care of the before takeoff checklist, We want to make sure that the pilot flying has the takeoff reference page shown, which we do right there. And then once we're done with all our checklists, well, the flaps aren't all the way there yet. There it goes. Now it checked it off. And then we'll switch the pilot monitoring display to the active route legs, page 1 for the route legs. And I think that's it. We're ready to actually taxi out right now, right? Let's see. Oh no, it tells us to cross-check and verify the CU takeoff reference page in MCP. The flap settings set. Thrust selection. We've gone with takeoff 1, I believe. Yep, takeoff 1 and climb 1, or takeoff 10%, because we're light. We're really light. Runway is going to be runway 35. V speeds are set. V2 is set in the MCP up here. Standby rudder trim is at 0 units. We're good on that. Radio panel set. Flight deck doors closed and locked. I don't know why we're going over that again. And then it says perform the before taxi checklist, which we'd already done, which means we're ready to taxi out, except that, of course, I don't have my track IR on yet. Big surprise, right? So I'm going to pause here, put my track IR on, then we're going to come back and we're going to be rocking and rolling. Alright, I got my track IR on. I think we're ready to go on everything. I'm going to go ahead and pull this bad boy out. We're going to take care of a taxi brief, and then we're going to be on our way. Well, we're going to be on our way while we're taking care of the taxi brief. Track IR coming on a little jump, big jump, whatever you want to call it. Let's go ahead and get that brake off. There we go. And let's go ahead and bring those throttles up just a little bit. Coming in, starting to move forward, and we'll line her up here, and let's go ahead and take care of that taxi brief. It's going to be pretty short. There is no departure briefing. We're going direct to our first waypoint, so this should be a pretty short brief here. Alright, let's take a look at this taxi briefing. It's going to be pretty quick. Keep in mind there is no departure briefing for this flight. For whatever reason, the flight plan has set us up for a departure direct to our first waypoint. I don't know if that's just a thing with Philadelphia, but I think there's only like 1 or 2 departures here anyway. Not 100% positive on that because I didn't even bother to look, since I didn't have to look for departures. So, taxi brief is really quite simple. We're right off the end of A West down here, so we're going to push back. Well, we already pushed back. Nose to the right, tail to the left, pointed this way. We're going to hop over here using Tango, that's my preference, and then take Kilo all the way down here to Echo. And then as we make our turn here, we do have AI traffic turned on, so we're going to have to keep an eye out for approaching aircraft. If we don't have any, we will cross over here. We'll cross over 27 right, 9 left there. And then we'll hold short down here at Echo. I don't know if it's supposed to be Echo. Well, that's Echo 1. 2, 3, 4. It doesn't actually have a number for it. It just says Echo. So that's where we'll be holding short anyway. Holding short of runway 35, prepared for our departure. ATIS for departures 135.9 or 2. Ground controls on 121.65 or 121.9. I'm assuming they would probably transfer us over. For us, runway 35, tower is going to be on 118.5. Philadelphia clearance on 118.85. And then Philadelphia departure for us, is that for us? Well, we're 349. No, we're going to be on 124.35. Couple of hot spots, but they're nothing that we have to worry about because they're not on our taxi route. So pretty much good to go. Let's see, down here, runway 27 left, right 35. This shipping canal, this is for approach though, has nothing to do with our departure, so we're good to go. Alright, here we are holding short of the runway. Let's go ahead and take care of this before takeoff procedure. We want to bring our transponder on first. That's this guy down here. Crank it all the way over to TARA, and then our weather comes on, and if I'm not mistaken, I think all you have to do is actually click weather on the hoo-ha up here, but let's just double check. Yeah, weather's already set to go to auto, so all we actually have to do here is we come up here and we want to turn our weather on because you can see there's weather out there, so if we have any issues we want to make sure that we're ready for those. Let's go ahead and scroll this out a little bit, maybe. Or maybe not. There we go. Come on. That's being kind of weird, huh? Oh, I'm going the wrong way because I'm retarded. Okay, so you can see there's our course over there, and that's why we're getting that intercept FMC intercept warning there. So what we're gonna do when we take off is basically we're gonna make a right-hand turn and come around here, And that should bring us out and around to intercept. You can see we've got an aircraft on final here. We do have AI traffic going, so we'll probably be able to line up on the runway, wait for him to land, and then we get to go. Lights can come on at this point. Strobe light needs to come on as well. And let's turn the logo light on just because it's getting a little dark out. Give a cabin chime there. Track IR coming on. Big jump. There it is. Brakes off. Oh, by the way, if that thing annoys you, just turn it off. There we go. I love all the little click displays and stuff. They really make this a much easier process. Oh, real quick, I just want to double check because, you know, there we go. I just want to make sure we were doing the FS recorder, you know, because we're in FSX, and I want to get you guys your, come on, brain function, your elevator music and all that stuff, because we can get elevator music in P3D, but we can't get landing and all that because we don't have an equivalent to FS recorders. I'm really hoping somebody does that, but in the meantime, we don't have it, and therefore we can't do it in P3D. However, we do have it here in FSX, and as long as we're going to be flying FSX, we might as well take advantage of that, right? So that guy coming in on approach, he's just a little bit over 5 miles out. So we should actually be able to roll right into our takeoff here. You can see on here, so he's a little over 5 miles out. I think we're probably good to go. And there's another guy right behind him anyway. So let's bring in a little bit of throttle here. This one's the one with the hidden click spot, right? Where's it at? That one right there. That's our hidden click spot because my toga button doesn't work for some reason. Okay, so I'm going to assume I have takeoff clearance. Hopefully we don't make him go around. So we already brought some throttle in. We're ready to go.
5,100 feet remaining.
There's our toga.
Approaching 3, 5.
That out of the way. Oh yeah, we're going to be out of his way, no problem.
Caution, short runway, short runway.
Yeah, I know.
Check.
We've got plenty of runway though.
B1. Rotate.
See, told you.
B2.
I mean, we used it all, but we had it.
Positive rate.
Gear coming up. It wants us to make a left turn. We're not going to make a left turn to intercept. We're going to make a right turn. You know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to follow the flight director. Let's get up and out here just a little bit before we do anything.
Flaps 1.
Gear up.
Flaps just going to 1. Yeah, it's just gonna swing us all the way around. No biggie. Into the clouds we go.
With our flight underway, I'd like to once again welcome you aboard. I'd also like to offer a special welcome to our Quality Club flight. You'll be earning valuable miles on your flight today. If you're not a member, please visit us at qweeksim.com. In just a few minutes, we will be beginning our complimentary meal and beverage service for both first class and coach. In coach, beer, wine, and margaritas can be purchased with the
After takeoff checklist.
We apologize.
No, we ain't ready for that yet. Calm down.
In-flight entertainment available on this aircraft includes audio, video, on demand, as well as Wi-Fi, all included free of charge. The flight
Low ceiling.
coming through the aisles with
Flaps coming up. Let's go ahead and get the autopilot on.
Now we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight.
Maybe. Couldn't remember where the button was.
on.
Track IR coming off. Little jump here. Let me change my checklist here. Get to the right page. Take off configuration warnings. Blah, blah, blah. Thrust, all of that. We're good on all that. There we go. After takeoff flow, gear is up. What's our altitude at right now? 7,000. Gear is up. Flaps are up. Engine anti-ice is on auto. It's been on auto the whole time. And that leads us to our after takeoff checklist. Let's take care of that real quick. Yeah, probably should have changed that, huh? He's supposed to be on CDU and Lake's page. That was my bad. But jump up here real quick, and let's put this guy on checklist. There we go, normal. There's our after takeoff, landing gear up, flaps up, we're good to go on that. And then that'll leave us with our descent checklist, so we're good there. We're almost at 10,000 feet, so let's just watch for that real quick. And then once we take care of that, we should be good to go, right? Yep, all the way until our descent procedures anyway. And coming up on 10,000 feet here now, let's go ahead and get those lights off. Landing lights off. Taxi lights off. Could have turned those off before takeoff. And we are raring to go, and that leaves nothing left to do on the way out except that obligatory elevator music.
Portable electronic devices.
Alright, we're going to be taking the Hobbs 3 arrival into Montreal today, and we're coming in way down here at ART, or Watertown VOR. Coming in at 047 degrees down to Davda, banging a right to 065 degrees down to Cavsu, then another right to 073 degrees down to Arvey, and then Hobbs. And we do have an altitude restriction at Hobbs. We're going to be landing on runway 6 right, so we need to be at or below 9,000 feet when we reach Hobbs. Taking a right from there to 088 degrees all the way down here. Don't get confused between these two now. This is for 6 left, this is for 6 right, which is where we're going. At full foe, we need to be at or above 3,000 feet. We'll be intercepting the glide slope just beyond that. And then at Tovat, I'm sorry, Tovat's not ours, we don't need to worry about that. And then it's on into the approach from there. So, almost got myself confused there, didn't I? It actually looks like there's a lot going on here, but this one's not too bad when you really just take a step back and look at it. We're also crossing the border into Canada right after we go across Cavsu there, so that's kind of cool. I don't know if we've done any flights up to Canada, I can't remember, but I know my Canadian folks have been looking forward to some, so there you go. ATIS is going to be on 133.7, unless you want it in French, then it's on 127.5. I don't speak French, so we're going to go with 133.7. The airport elevation is 118 feet. Altitude, your altimeter is set in inches, and everything else. We meet all these requirements, so we're not worried about any of that. So that takes care of the arrival briefing. Alright folks, as you can see here, we're just a little under 40 nautical miles from our top of descent. We got a little bit of housekeeping to do here so that we can take off on the descent at the right time. First thing we want to do is check our recall and notes. Hit the cancel recall button, nothing pops up. We're right as a spring rain. We want to take care of reference speeds. Hop down here is really simple. Hop down here and hit the initial reference page, and it should go right to your approach reference, the approach reference page. If it does not, click on index, click on approach, and that's your approach reference page. Now we're going to do a full flaps 30-degree landing at 132 knots because I like to do full flap landings and try and grease them. So you want to set that in there, and we're going to leave that page up because that's the page we're going to want to use. Let's set this bad boy. Right now we've got this on the progress page. We've got 31 nautical miles at the top of this, and we're going to put that on the legs page for now and leave it there. Let's see, what do we got here next? Landing distance and auto brakes. We've got about 9,000 feet and change of runway. We're going to use auto brakes 2, which is should be more than enough. The runway should be dry. There's no oh, excuse me, a little hiccup there. There's no precipitation. We do have cloud cover down to 5,500 feet. Wind is coming at 034 at 5 knots. Altimeter is 3040. Set the radio and barrel minimums as needed for the approach. Those are good to go. And then perform the descent checklist. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and crank this bad boy down because I want to make sure I don't forget and it starts descending on time. Now I'm going to take it down to 3,000 feet. You saw that there is an altitude restriction on the arrival of 9,000 feet at or below 9,000 feet. I've already put that into the FMC to make sure it gets there. I'm gonna let the flight management computer deal with that rather than me trying to adjust the altitudes, because I'm obviously going to have other things going on. So let's take care of that checklist really quick. Hop down here, click on checklist, descent checklist. Recall is checked, notes are checked, auto brake is set, landing data is set, and approach briefing will be completed here shortly. And that takes care of the descent checklist. Click on normal checklist. Next one will be the approach checklist. Put that back on that page. And that means there's nothing to do right now except wait for it to start descending. So why don't we go ahead and take care of that approach briefing. Alright, the approach briefing then. It's going to be the ILS runway 6 right approach. We've got some weather taking us all the way down to about 5,500, so we're definitely going to fly the ILS on this. ATIS again on 133.7, and if we want it in French, it's 127.5. I wonder if that actually works. You know, that's something I should try sometimes. Just tune the ATIS, tune the radio to 127.5 and see if I get ATIS in French on FSX. I doubt it's going to happen that way. Quebec radios on 123.55, Montreal arrival on 118.9, 126.9, or 132.85. I'm assuming you can just pick one of those. Same thing with the tower, 119.3, 119.9, and 124.3. Maybe somewhere in here it's supposed to explain to us which one we picked, but I haven't actually seen it. But I haven't looked at it that long either. Ground when we get down there, 121.0 or 121.9er. Our localizer frequency is 110.5 with a final approach course of 057 degrees. Intercepting the glide slope at NASC with 2 Ks in there, 1,510 feet. That's MSL, it's 1,405 feet above the ground. ILS decision altitude is 305 feet or decision height at 200 feet. Airport elevation again 118 feet with a touchdown zone elevation for our runway at 105 feet. You can see how all of that looks down here on our map view. It's pretty straightforward. And then if we pop down here to our profile view, here we are at full 3,000 feet. It says at or above. We've got a little bit of room to work there. It's 12.9 nautical miles out, and it's at 9.1 is where we're supposed to intercept the glide slope. So we can be at or above 3,000, but we need to get to 3,000 or down to 3,000 feet in time to intercept that glide slope. That's the way it's supposed to go anyway. And then, I don't know, it says to intercept it here, but we're going to intercept it out here. It's just going to happen. But I suppose technically this is the intercept point. And then on down from there, unless, of course, you have a missed approach. What does that look like? Missed approach is pretty straightforward. Climb to 3,000 feet at heading 057. That's runway heading. Make a right turn direct to the YJNVOR, which is this way. And then you're going to hold out there unless otherwise instructed by ATC. Transition level is at flight level 180 or 18,000 feet. Radar or RNAV is required. Safe altitude within 100 nautical miles. I don't know why that thing just popped up down there. Within 100 nautical miles, 7,400 feet. So if you're within 100 nautical miles of the airport, your minimum safe altitude is 7,400 feet. Localizer is reliable only within 10 degrees either side of the center line. That would make a lot of sense too with a runway with the 6 left and 6 right. Let's see, procedure turn not authorized. Common localizer frequencies for runway 6 right and 24 left. Verify localizer ident for this approach. That's basically all the information we need for this one, folks. Let's see. It says we've got the SSALR. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out what these mean. I should know it. I know that I should know it, but you know what? I just never bothered to actually learn it. Shame on me. But there you have it. So there's your approach briefing. Any questions? I got you. Of course, there's no questions in the video, people. If you want to ask a question, put it down in the comments. Maybe I'll answer it. Maybe I won't. I'm just messing with you. Alright folks, we're just about to cross RV here, headed towards Hobbs and then full foe. We've got the spoilers deployed right now, slowing her down. Want to make sure we hit 9,000 or below at Hobbs. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but we'll see. But I wanted to come on here just a little bit earlier than originally I had anticipated, because you can see we've got this nice thick cloud layer down here. And even though my FSX can be a little at times, it's not horrible. And I wanted you guys to see as we descend into these clouds here, because I just really like that. And I've gotten a little smarter. I went on to Active Sky and I saved the weather from this flight. So hopefully when I go to do the cinematic stuff, you know, when I play back the flight, I can just load this weather, and that way it'll play out the same. That should be fantastic. So we should be able to get some good shots of the aircraft descending into the clouds. I think that'll be pretty cool. So start retracting the spoilers a little bit here. You can see we're coming up on our 10,000 foot mark here pretty soon. Starting to get just a little bit bumpy. You may or may not be noticing it. It's kind of hard to tell in a simulator, obviously. And I don't have all the extra movements turned on. You can get all kinds of movement going on with this thing using your chase plane, but I don't have that set up. The FMC message just telling us that drag's required. Or I thought it was. Maybe it's saying unable something. I don't know. Probably saying unable to make it at Hobbs. That's probably what it's saying right there. There's 10,000 feet. Let's get those landing lights on. Runway turn-off lights on. Everything else is good as is. You saw from the approach brief, our go-around altitude is 3,000 feet, so we can leave that where it's at. And hopefully, let's see, we got to get down to 3,000 feet by the time we get to full foe, and that's just a little over 20 nautical miles from where we're at right now. So, I don't know, we're cutting it pretty close, but it looks to me like, what are we, 2.5 miles from Hobbs? We're going to just make 9,000 feet, I think. So we're actually doing all right. I don't know what that message was about on the FMC. Either way, it looks like this flight's coming together nicely. Now all I got to do is figure out how do I fill this space with something to say. I have nothing profound right now. I really don't. I'm really just on here because I think descending into these clouds is going to look really cool, and I wanted you guys to see that because, you know, that's just cool. I have a thing for clouds in my flight simulator. I don't know what it is, but the clouds got to look right. If the clouds don't look right, it's kind of a bummer to me. I mean, the ground, I want the ground to look good and stuff too, but I'm really big on the clouds. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and take control of the speed here. Now, as soon as I do, it's still on VNAV path. I love that. That's the way it should be. In most Boeing aircraft, as soon as you click on that speed button, it goes to VNAV speed, which means when I try to slow it down, of course, the aircraft raises the nose in order to slow the aircraft down. So, a little frustrating when it does that. It's not doing that in this case, so that's good. But it's having a hard time slowing down, so let's get some spoilers out there because I want to get that first setting of flaps in. There's the spoilers coming out. Take them out nice and slow. I don't want to fling them out too fast. I want to get down there to that first flap setting is what we're trying to get to right now. Let's go ahead and arm the localizer at this point. If I can find it, for whatever reason I can't see it now. There it is, localizer. There we go, localizer's armed. Trying to make 3,000 feet. Not sure if it's going to happen. Let's bring this all the way down to 180 knots. The slower we're going, the better off we're going to be as far as our descent rate goes. So let's get that first setting of flaps out. It's going to help slow us down more. Into the clouds we go. That's what I wanted you guys to see. Wow, that descent rate is really slow right now. I'm surprised. I really am. Start retracting those spoilers now. I don't think we're going to need them out there too much. We can get that next setting of flaps in. We're just on the line for it, really. See the speed kind of going up and down now. Alright, let's take care of our approach procedures here. The altimeters need to be set. We've taken care of that. 3040. We did that once we crossed below 18,000 feet, so we're good. Runway turn-off lights, strobe lights, logo lights, landing lights, all of that stuff is on. And then we need to perform the approach checklist. So let's take care of that real quick down here while we have a little bit of time. Altimeters are set, so we're good. Landing checklist, that one will take care of itself. So we'll hop back up here. And let's go ahead and scroll this down one more here. Alright, we're 10 miles from FOLFO. Looking pretty good right now. Coming down to 180 knots. I like that because that means we're definitely going to make our speed. And then remember now, what are we landing at here? Let's double check. So we're landing, our landing speed is 132 knots. So we want our approach speed to be 137. 137 is what we're looking for on the approach speed. Final approach course is 057 degrees. Let's go ahead and tune that in up here. Good to have that on the heading just in case. And I usually don't do that. I know somebody's saying you never do that. I know. I should though. I should. So there we go. Track IR coming on. Big jump here. There we go. It's going to give us the ability to move around more. It is hard to push buttons and stuff though with track IR on because you move your head a tiny little bit and it goes all over the place. So we'll see how it works out. We're thick into the clouds here now. We should break out of these around 5,500 feet. We'll see how that works out. If you ask me, we're still way too high. I mean, we're just over 5 miles from FOLFO, and really, we've got 3,000 feet to go here. I mean, we're supposed to be at 3,000 feet when we hit FOLFO, and descending at 400 or 500 feet per minute. I don't know if we're going to make that, but I guess we'll see. We're going to find out, aren't we? Now she's trying to come down a little bit. Come on down, baby, or we're going to be way above that glide slope if we don't. That's what it says, though. FOLFO, 3,000 feet. So, and then it's actually just a little past FOLFO is where you actually intercept the glide slope, if you do recall from the approach briefing. So, I don't know. We should probably be all right. Again, we're looking for 137 is going to be our approach speed, and we'll roll into that here shortly. Once. Basically, I want to make the turn at FOLFO, and then once that localizer's locked on, we can get the approach button. We'll press the approach button there. You guys know the drill. See, now we're getting above the glide slope there. You can see it's starting to shift. That diamond's shifting down a little bit. We're just too high right now, which is a little concerning. Let's bring the speed down some more. Let's go ahead and bring it down to 150. Bring in one more setting of flaps. That'll help slow us down a little bit more. The idea is to get this airplane down. We're definitely too high at the moment. We do not want to overshoot because we can't see anything until we drop below 50. Well, it's supposed to be 5,500, but I don't see anything yet, and we're at what are we at? 5,100. So clearly the weather report is incorrect. There we go. Now we're dropping out of it. Fantastic. You can see the airport off to the left there. Shifting my seat just a little bit. We're definitely too high. Way too high. Let's go ahead and take care of this. Let's take over this vertical speed here. Let's bring her down a little bit. Steepen it up. It's locked onto the localizer. Let's hit the approach switch. We want to lock onto that glide slope. It locked onto the glide slope immediately. Immediately locked onto the glide slope. So that's good. Let's get the gear down. Let's bring the speed down to 137. Sometimes those tooltips are a little annoying, aren't they? Okay, so the vertical speed should have turned itself off. It did. We're at a bit of a high rated descent right now, but that's going to go away. Let's make sure we arm the speed brakes here. Oh, I already had them armed, didn't I? Okay, speed brakes armed. Gears down. We do have a little bit more to do on our flaps, but let's go ahead and take care of this landing checklist. Speed brake is armed. Gear is down. And the flaps are not set yet. They will be here shortly. Let's get that up out of the way for the moment. And let's bring in that last setting of flaps. There we go. Speed brakes aren't deployed, are they? No, they're armed. Boy, it really sounds like it though, doesn't it? Maybe it's just the flaps. Can't quite see the wing there. You probably could in the real aircraft. You can see we're going to be landing on the shorter runway here. I did that intentionally because we know how much I float it, so I'm going to try and not float it this time. We'll see how that works out, huh? All right, we're a little ways out here. Let's go ahead and take the autopilot off. I'm gonna leave the auto throttle on for the moment. Fantastic. So we're hand flying the aircraft now, looking good. We do have an aircraft over here, same altitude as us. Looks like he's moving this way, maybe climbing. Yep. So, and it looks like our wind is it's shifted to a complete tailwind now, which is interesting because that's not what my weather report is saying. It's just simply not. So that's a little bit of a pain in the butt. I don't like when I get one. Well, now it looks like the wind just died. So maybe it will shift again as we get a little bit closer here. So wander to the right just a little bit there. Bring it back over to the left.
2,500.
And we know that really more than anything based on our flight director there is telling us where we need to be. So easy enough to keep that in mind. Looking good there. That's one thing, you know, in my P3D, for whatever reason, even though I have the draw distance maxed out, for whatever reason, it really, you know, the airport doesn't seem to draw as early as it does in FSX. But then again, that may be some of the cause, that may be part of the reason I get some of the stutters that I get in FSX. So it's kind of hard to say. Maybe it draws them in a little slower or something. Still got the auto throttles on. I haven't messed with those yet. I suppose we can go ahead and take those off now. So auto throttles are off at this point. Okay, looking good there. Bring those back just a little bit. Nice steady approach. We're nice and stable. That's the idea here, right? Nice and stable. Well, we're drifting just a little bit. Yeah, so there's that wind that we were looking for there. You can see it's coming off the left side just a little bit.
Landing checklist.
It's causing us to drift. Landing checklist should already be taken care of, but let's just double check it here. Nope, checklist. Yep, landing checklist is good. Fantastic. Get that up out of the way there. Got just a little high on it, and I just backed off the throttles. That's all I did. Backed off the throttles a little bit. I'm lined up just a tiny bit left. I'm actually going to let the wind kind of push me over there just a little. You can do that. That's actually something you do in the real world. You just only do it a little bit though, especially in an aircraft like this that moves this fast. So you can see we're just slightly drifting to the right there. So
Approaching 06 right.
Or drifting to the right, my apologies. We're drifting to the right there. Looking pretty good here. I swear there's an airplane right on top of us. It's like I can hear it.
300. Approaching minimums.
Speed's just a little high.
Minimums. 200.
Yep, you can hear him. I swear there's an airplane going to land right on top of us. Watch.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Wasn't too bad, huh? Little off the center line.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be taxiing for
We're not
the
gonna
next
make that
few
one.
minutes, so please remain
I tried to, but I couldn't make it.
until the captain turns on the fasten seatbelt sign.
Alright, let's go ahead and get those
At
flaps
that
up.
time, please remember to check around your seating area in the seat
Spoilers
pockets
down.
and overhead bins for all personal belongings that you brought off board. Please take care when opening the overhead bins, as the contents may have shifted during flight.
Let's get the, let's see, speed brakes taken care of. Let's get the APU turned on up here. There we go, APU's coming on. Slow her down a little bit more here, get that out of the way. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes those cockpit tooltips are a little bit annoying, aren't they? Alright. I just feel like there's an airplane right behind us. We'll know when we do the cinematic, won't we? I didn't get any warnings from TCAS though. Okay, landing lights coming off. Runway turn-off lights coming off. Strobe lights coming off. Taxi lights coming on. There we go. Fantastic. Slow her down a little bit here. And let's take care of this after landing flow. And then our after landing checklist, of course. So track hire coming off real quick. Big jump here. There we go. It's a little quicker now, isn't it? Okay, speed brake is down. Flaps are up. Transponder needs to go to transponder mode, which is the 12 o'clock position right there. Fantastic. APU's already been started. Any ice as required. Lights off. Weather radar needs to come off. That's probably good. We don't want to fry anybody, right? So let's turn weather radar off. We can turn traffic off now too. We don't need it on anymore. Obviously because TCAS isn't on anymore. And let's see. And then is there an after landing checklist? I don't know if there is. Let's look down here real quick. Just make sure. Checklist. Landing checklist was fine, and then the next checklist will be the shutdown checklist. We don't need that right now, so I'm going to go ahead and taxi this bad boy in. And then once I find us a parking space, we'll hop back on here. We'll talk about the shutdown really quick, and we'll wrap this flight up. So I'll see you guys back here in just a minute. All right, well, one thing's for sure, we did not park in the right spot. That's the terminal over there, but we're going to suck it up anyway. We're going to call this our special parking space. Taking a look at our shutdown flow, the parking brake is already set. Fuel cutoff switches can go to the off position now. We'll take care of that right here. There we go. Seatbelt sign can come off. Having a hard time concentrating here. There we go. Seatbelt sign. Let me just jump up to the overhead panel here. Hydraulic pumps can go to the off position now. So we can go, let's see, is there an order? I think there's an order for it. Let's see. Hydraulic system goes left demand, C1 and C2, then right. So left demand, C1, C2, then right. Those all go off in that order. And then the IRS selectors can come off. And the flight deck door power can go off. That's this one up here. Fuel pumps can all go off. And there won't be a pressure light on that one because the APU is up and running right now. Engine anti-ice is on auto. Beacon can come off at this point. Flight directors can come off. Those are down here. 1 and 2, both the flight directors off. Transponder can go to the standby mode. I actually put a key for this now. There we go. Transponder down to the standby mode. And then external power as required. So for simplicity, let's go ahead and pull it up here real quick. Turn on the external power there. Close that out. External power available. Now we can shut the APU off. Bam, there we go. And let's see, we miss anything else? Engine anti-ice beacon, EFB, main menu. The only thing left would be the securing procedure. We're not actually going to secure the aircraft. We're going to assume that somebody else is going to be using it after us, and therefore, that's going to wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I do appreciate you taking the time to watch it, and I hope that you enjoyed this flight as we continue our journey in a global 787 tour. So we're going to eventually make our way all the way around the world in this, which means there's going to be some really long flights coming up. This one was actually really short. We're definitely going to have some really long ones coming up really soon. So be looking for those in the near future. For all my Canucks out there, here we are up in Canada. I know some of you, Pat, for one, has been asking me to get up to Canada. So here we are. I don't know if this is where you wanted to go, CYUL, but Montreal, here we are. You know, now I don't know how it is up in Canada, but I have a feeling somebody's going to be like, yeah, that's Quebec. That's not Canada. I'm just saying. But either way, here we are up in Montreal. So yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this one, folks. If you haven't taken the opportunity to do so, please go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Well over 5,100 subscribers at this point, and I appreciate and thank every one of you. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up down below. It makes it a lot easier to find the videos in the search, and tell all your friends about it. Have them come on over here, take a look at the Captain Mac channel, take a look at what we got going on over here. Don't forget, you can like us on Facebook, you can follow us on Twitter, little cough for you, and then you can follow us on Twitch at Captain Mac 3588. If you haven't done so, take a look at my latest flight review. I'm going to start putting those out semi-regularly. Take a look at that, especially the quality rant at the end of it. Leave your comments down below in that one as well. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of this flight, all of that good stuff. Other than that, that's going to wrap it up, folks. I appreciate your time, and as always, keep the blue side up, unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all, and have a fantastic day.